Running backroads of America and live from the G&D Show studios, this is your GhostMan&Demon Hunter show.
Doesn't that sound exciting to you?
Hey, yes indeedy. Listeners around the world, Shadow Nation, welcome back to the one, the only mystifying Oracle Radio. Your GhostMan&Demon Hunter show, Demon Hunter.
GhostMan.
What's going on, man?
Oh, it's just a stormy, beautiful evening here in the middle of New England.
Like, hey, Scoob. Special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, Stitcher Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, Action Audio Apps. Hey, are you listening? Because they want to know, so check them out at actionaudioapps.com. Paranormal A, thanks, guys, for being so very cool.
Hey?
Hey, man. Hey. So what else is going on? It's raining in Maine.
It's raining. I almost
in Connecticut, Maine.
We wouldn't go live because I was here in the studio just a little earlier. I texted you and said, power's out, but power came back on. So
Power's out. Power's out. We've had that happen before, folks. We've had the tornadoes rage through.
Sky turned a little green. I went outside and said, well, I can either grab the video camera and do some storm chasing or stay home and or stay at the studio and
stay home at the studio.
And
why didn't you put that together? Stay home at the studio. You could have done both those things, you know?
Yes, I could.
Wow.
And then just wait for the storm to pass and hope power came back on for the show tonight. And sure enough,
power came back on for the show tonight.
Power came back on for the show tonight.
Dog.
You know what they say about the weather in New England, Sean? If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
It's deflated. Deflategate. Did you hear about that? Tom Brady. We never addressed that on the show. Tom Brady was found guilty of the Deflategate thing.
He was. And how was he punished, Sean?
I don't know. They fined the team.
He has to miss like 3 games, and he's fined like a few $1,000s.
But see, that's not. It's the shame of New England that the whole thing was terrible. They were involved in that. You guys should be ashamed of your team, and especially, everybody was going, no, that's not us, and it was proven to in fact be.
We all knew it was true. Even New England knew it was true. Yeah. Nobody was defending it.
I don't know. Tom Brady, he's a jerkweed, man. Anyway, New England Patriots found guilty of Deflategate. It's a couple years.
You know what's funny though, Sean? They get to keep the trophy. I mean, hey.
Yeah, they get to keep the trophy. That's amazing. So what's that teach future Hall of Famers in the NFL? If you cheat, you won't get to play a couple games. You get a long vacation and, you get your name sullied. Anyway, he'll probably retire in New England. He'll be a hero. Hey, Demon Hunter! The SYL project. SYL, guys. We stand behind it.
Show some love, Sean.
Share your love.
Share your love.
Show some love. Also, I'll say share your love, and then you say show some love, all right?
Okay.
The SYL project, share your love.
Show some love.
Share your love.
Show it some love.
Share it. Anyway, guys, the SYL project here at the GhostMan&Demon Hunter show. We've backed the Susan G. Komen 3-day race for the cure. Breast cancer is a very serious thing. We stand behind it. We are cancer fighters, proud to say. Now, the SYL project, SYLproject.com. Check it out today. Share your love, guys. Go on there, donate. It's a non-for-profit organization. It is tax deductible. And our friend Sandy Merritt runs the show there. It's a very good cause, Nathan.
Yay, good causes.
They give good things to people that need it, people that are suffering with the loss of loved ones, and people that are struggling and fighting the good fight against cancer, guys. Be a cancer fighter today. Help the ones fighting cancer. The SYLproject.com. Share your love, or as Nathan would say,
show some love.
There you go. I like it. Okay, Sandy, we got that out there. Anyway, hey, we didn't talk about we go out at a lot of places, guys. A lot of networks over our 9 years on the air, working on our 9th year. Proud to say we have we have a few buddies in the business.
Still, they haven't disowned us yet.
Yeah, they haven't disowned us. But Paranormal A, guys, Paranormal A Paranormal networks, guys.
Like we said the very first time they emailed us and said, will you promote us? And we said, go listen to Paranormal
Yeah. Well, I will say we have won awards at this show. Nathan and I are very humbled by this, very honored, because, coming from sitting on a cardboard box with a headset on a laptop computer, we never thought that we'd get recognized. But over the years, we have, Nathan.
Yes, doing the show from headsets that basically now kids use to play video games.
Video games. They weren't even that high tech. But we you guys think we're live, but we didn't. But, it's been a lot of work, long road, and special thanks to Paranormal A because they honored us a couple weeks ago with their Zombie Beaver Award.
Zombie Beaver Award.
For best syndicated radio show in this field, paranormal field.
Yay.
Thanks, guys, for being very cool on that. We're honored to accept that. So I always put the thing out there. We here at the GhostMan and Demon Hunter show.
The GhostMan and Demon Hunter show.
Yeah, same thing. The GhostMan and Demon Hunter show are very honored. I've learned some things over the years.
Yes.
It's the same thing when we're communicating with our guests because you never know who you're going to get. You're going to get this. You're either going to talk to the guest, and we've been lucky and we've been honored to get some huge stars from The Walking Dead.
We've also gotten a few people over the years that getting them to answer questions is like pulling teeth.
Yeah, we've had him just a couple weeks ago. Our buddy Donnie Wildman from Mysteries at the Museum.
Well, he's not like pulling teeth. We basically sat back and let him run the show.
Yeah, what do you do with a pro like that? We were thinking, because Nathan and I have to come up with interview questions. How do you interview a dude that's literally been everywhere? I mean, America turns to him for our history lessons. So, but I think we held our own. Don likes coming on the show. And
he does.
We've had some fun doing this, man, over the years. And I can't believe some of the names. I was going through the archives the other night, and some of the people have came on this show have blown me away.
I still can't wait till the day I get to walk up to Elvira and give her a big hug and then say, you remember me from the GhostMan and Demon Hunter show?
Something
might calls the cops.
Something might push through the back of your... through your chest if you give her too big a squeeze. Yeah. Oh, man, Elvira. That's back in the day. Sammy Terry, he's now no longer with us. He was a late...
Hey, I was just watching Facebook today, and somebody made a comment about your buddy Sven Gulli.
Sven Gulli was on the show.
Sven Gulli,
of course, that's one of America's, oldest remaining... horror hosts. Longest on the air. I think he's the only one that's on not syndicated.
He's syndicated. I get him out here in Connecticut now. So.
Yeah, he's on everywhere. Started in Chicago, been on there. I think he's almost 60 now, or right around there. He came on the show. Very thankful to Sven.
600, maybe. 660.
Yeah, he's a rock and roll Dracula.
He's
taught everybody dreams can come true from a cardboard coffin and a crazy prop set on a stage somewhere. He's been able to do it. Hey, Demon Hunter!
Hey, Ghostman!
Tonight's guest. Yes, the famous G&D show guest music, huh?
I'm listening.
It's famous. Hailing from...
listening?
I am. Everybody's listening. Hailing from Durham, Maine. Tonight's guest has had a lifelong fascination with monsters. He's been on the trail of the Bigfoot, the Lizard Man, much like us, Nathan, and many more that dwell beneath our feet. He's a lead man and founder of Team Rogue. He and his team of researchers travel the country in search of some of the nation's lesser-known subterranean monsters. Mr. Bill Brock stops by from the hit television show from Destination America, Monsters Underground. Tonight, Bill Brock is going to tell us all about the monsters that dwell below, only at the home of the mystifying Oracle Radio. That's right here, guys. Your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Yeah. Bill Brock. Yeah. Bill Brock.
I'd just like to say, Sean, that there are absolutely no monsters beneath our feet. The subterranean reptilian overlords have commanded me to say that.
Yes, the one world order type thing. Illuminati. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I was looking over some show topics and stuff, and I know you were as well, because that's how prepared radio hosts we did. I found 11 facts you didn't know about Mr. Rogers. Did we talk about this before on the show?
I don't think we did.
Mr. Rogers, you remember him?
I watched him often as a child. It was perfect kiddie volume.
Beautiful
Mom
day.
could put her son in front of the TV for 30 minutes while Mr. Rogers talked like this.
Yeah.
And the kids just became entranced
Wouldn't
and
it be-
couldn't turn away from
Would it
the
be
TV.
awesome if your mom walked back in and Mr. Roger had his pants off? Yeah, kids. That's terrible.
He was
I
a
like
good
it.
man.
He
Don't
was
make
a
fun of
good
Mr.
man.
Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, in honor of Mr. Rogers, I wanted to read these today. Mr. Rogers is a childhood favorite and a legend. But there are so many aspects. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many aspects, Nathan,
Okay.
of our favorite neighbor that we didn't know about.
Please tell me more.
Well, like, for instance, did you know he was colorblind?
I did not.
Or that all of his clothes were made by his mother? Did you know that?
I did not, but now that I think about it, that sweater makes sense now.
You can't crack on Rogers, man. Come on. He was like America's dorky, very strange neighbor that you accepted, but I don't want to say that bad.
Everybody liked him, but they wouldn't let their kids go play at his house.
Oh my God, you called it. You called it. I'm so glad you said something that was out there besides me this time. But yeah, I mean, would you let your kids, honestly, Shadow Nation, everybody listening, would you let your
I
kids?
bet Mr. Rogers kicked back and had a beer with the best of them. I'm sorry. He just seemed like that kind of guy.
Yeah, anyway, his mother made his clothes. That's a little weird. His pants.
Hey, I mean, depends on where you grew up, man.
She couldn't have made his shirts, though, man. Oh, he had some JC.
Why not?
I don't know. This list of facts will give you a whole new love for Mr. Rogers.
Who could love Mr. Rogers even more? Tell me.
Here's a good one. Number one. This is the Mr. Rogers we know and love. Number one time Mr. Rogers received a letter from a 5-year-old father. What? A 5-year-old's father? I hope there's no 5-year-old fathers out there. That's one of our strange news stories this week. He received a letter from a 5-year-old's father. She was blind, and her dad stated that she would cry during his show because she was never sure if he fed his fish or not. From that moment on, Mr. Rogers always made a point of letting his audience know he had fed his trusty goldfish.
Well, there you go.
See, that's the Rogers.
Feel the love, Sean. Share the love.
Yeah. Still wouldn't let my kids over there. Anyway, number two, Mr. Rogers began wearing his trademark sneakers to work because they cause less noise on the set.
Okay, we've worked on set. I believe that.
Yeah, I believe it too. They would say.
Remember, I showed up in boots one day and they made me change?
Yeah, I do. Those goofy boots. Okay, number
Hey,
three.
they were cowboy boots. They look cool.
They had those sterling silver tips on them.
Hey, I like those boots. I still own those boots.
Whammy! Anyway, number three, he swam in the buff. See? Here we go. He swam in the buff. One of his favorite pastimes was swimming laps at community pools, which allowed nude swimming at specific times of the day.
Hey, it was the 70s, Sean. It was the 70s.
No, even in the 70s, I never heard. Did your parents do this? Did they swim in the buff at community pools?
My parents didn't swim at all. Where do you think my fear of water came from?
Oh, wow. Anyway, guys, there you go. Number three. Things are getting weird now, getting interesting. He swam in the buff. He swam naked. Mr. Rogers did. At a community pool.
He obviously was not a bashful man.
No, I guess not. Mr. Rogers was hung. They said you were hung, and they was right. They said you were hanged, and you were right. What movie?
Well, that would be Blazing Saddles, and the quote is, they said you were hung, because if they said you were hanged...
That's what I said first, and I changed it. See if you would catch that. Good job.
I caught it.
It's a test. Number four, Mr. Rogers was colorblind. He couldn't see reds and greens, yet he still had a great style.
That would explain why he was so popular among all races.
This is true. He could not see color. Number five, he rallied Boston University students and faculty to sing It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood after his commencement speech. His ability to unify still rings in people's hearts to this day.
I'm touched.
Yeah, me too. Number six, he did all the voices for the show. Did you know that?
I did know that.
I didn't know that. Not only for himself, but the puppets.
Meow, meow, meow.
Meow, meow. The voices were not that challenging.
No, they were not.
But you know what? He made a career out of it, and kudos to that man. because we know how tricky Hollywood is, and oh my God, you never know.
How come they haven't offered the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show a children's show yet?
Well, I don't know, Nathan. Meow, meow, meow. Say we can do it, folks. Oh, Nathan. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Number 7.
Blah, blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. Number 7. He was a vegetarian who also never drank or smoked. He had no known vices and served as a role model for young and old alike, except his one vice of swimming naked. No, I added that, Shadow Nathan. Nathan told me to put that in there.
I guess he wouldn't kick back and have a beer with everybody, but okay, I like it.
So you
Go
were
ahead.
wrong right there. Number 8, most of the characters on his beloved children's show were named after close family relatives, like Mr. McFeely, the super-duper mailman.
I remember Mr. McFeely, and I kind of got the feeling that on Pee-wee's Playhouse,
Yeah, they copied.
the mailman was based on Mr. McFeely.
Wasn't that our good friend Elvira, Cassandra Peterson, that was actually on Pee-wee Playhouse? She was remember? She got one of her starts there.
Well, she didn't get her start.
Well, she started in Vegas, but
she started in Vegas. Then she went to horror hosting, but she did a
no. She did. It was Pee-wee's Playhouse first before horror hosting. I'll have to Google.
Was it really?
I think. I can't confirm.
I don't think so.
Jesus Christ, man! We've had her on the show. That was a good question. We should have asked her when she was live on the air. Number 9, Mr. Rogers was an ordained Presbyterian minister.
I believe that.
This woman, the buff? Wow. This is the main reason he decided to go into children's television. He wanted it to become more wholesome.
You know, one of the rumors I remember about Mr. Rogers as a child, which turned out to be totally untrue,
What was it?
that he was a retired Marine.
Really? That's like that game show host that was CIA.
Yeah, and it turned out that that was a total just thrown out there. Somebody else put that out there, not him, obviously.
I don't know.
And no, he was not a Marine. So if you ever grew up hearing that Mr. Rogers was a Marine who decided to create this television show, no, he was a Presbyterian minister who decided to make the TV show.
That is amazing. Presbyterian minister that swam in the nude and his mother made his clothes for him. Number 10, a whopping, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
A whopping 895 episodes were recorded during the duration of his show. At that time, this was a record for the world's longest running show.
That's very cool.
That's it, guys. That's number 10. Oh, wait. Number 11. There was 11, wasn't there?
I guess so.
Number 11, last but not least, Shadow Nation, all of his sweaters were actually knitted by his mom. How sweet is that? Number 11.
And they looked like it, too.
And they did look like it, didn't they? Mr. Rogers will always have a place in everyone's heart because a lot of people grew up with him.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Mr. Rogers. It was kind of slow. And honestly, if my parents weren't home, I didn't put it on. But when they were home and they put it on, I sat and watched.
So you were watching like Debbie Does Dallas, watching some hardcore porn, and when they walked in, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I hate to say this, man, but we did not have a VCR in the early 1970s. I think maybe the president had a VCR back then.
Did you ever have porn, though? Like tapes, videotapes and stuff?
As a kid?
Well, as preteen or whatever, when you were living in
I remember finding in the woods pages that had been torn out of a Playboy when I was about 13, and that was my first exposure to any kind of porn.
Oh, man. Well, I don't know. I know. I'll admit something.
And I will also admit, I turned them over to my dad.
Oh, my God, what a nerd.
I was a nerd.
Anyway, I mean that with the most heart, nerd. Anyway, I had, and I'll have to admit this to our listeners, I had one of the largest collections, an old dirty cardboard box in the back of the closet of some of America's greatest late 70s, early 80s porn. We're talking
But see,
Ron
you grew up with a
Jeremy.
VCR.
Yeah, I did have a VCR, but I could only use it when Mom and Dad was out of the house.
I didn't even own my first VCR until maybe 1989.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, until then, VCRs were really expensive.
Right.
it was, a good. If you wanted the VCR in your house, you were looking at $400, $500 for a VCR.
Oh yeah, and they're
And
considered.
my family wasn't going to throw that kind of money out. I mean, I had friends who had VCRs.
Remember how big they were?
Oh God, yeah. And you loaded the tape in from the top, and closed the lid, and it looked like a giant toaster.
I remember the first one we got. We were so excited to go to the library. That was the only place at the time that did the rentals for movies.
Yeah,
and they were all goofy too, like Captain Hook from 1960s or 70s or whatever. Anyway.
I remember my first VCR membership to a VCR club was in like 1991.
Right.
And you had to pay $100 a year to join.
Right.
And then it was $5.99 a tape.
$5.99?
You got it for 3 days.
Well, what year was this?
It was 1991.
Oh my God, $5.99 in 1991.
Yep. And you paid $100 a year to join. Now that was your first year. After that, it dropped down to $50 a year.
Yeah, but Jesus, it was like 10 cents or 25 cents or $1 something.
It's $1 now. Like if you want to rent a DVD now, it's $1.29 plus tax, and if you want a Blu-ray, it goes up to $2. But it was $5.99 for 3 days for a video. Yeah. But you also have to remember if you wanted to buy that video, it cost you about $150.
Yeah. And now you got walls of VHS tapes that people. My parents still have a bunch of VHS tapes.
I have a bunch of VHS tapes. Actually, I'm planning on trying to slowly buy DVDs of the things I have VHSs of and get rid of the VHS tapes.
Oh, so you still have a VCR somewhere in the house?
I've got one in the bedroom and one in the living room.
So you can finally watch those VHS porn in the bedroom.
Finally, I tell you, it took me years to find some.
It was great. I was a big fan of.
It was really hard to find Muffy the Vampire Slayer.
The Warthog. I can't believe Ron Jeremy. I was a big fan. Hey, Nathan, you sent some good information this week. I'm going to let you lead us off with that big thing that all the kids are doing here lately. Kind of spooky, huh?
And that would be the Charlie Challenge.
Yeah, man.
Social media's attempt to summon a Mexican demon.
Yeah.
So apparently this is a little bit of a cross, Sean, between Bloody Mary and the Ouija board.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like that, man. It sounds like...
And I'm just going to put it out right here now, folks. Do not try this and have something horrible happen to you and then blame the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. If you choose to try it, that's your business. I mean, we are not the Nazi regime here and tell you how to spend your Friday nights, but I wouldn't do it if I were you. But apparently it's a very simple thing, very similar to, you remember the girls used to make those little paper cups and they'd go, pick a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, pick a color, blue, BLU.
Yeah, with the notebook paper.
They'd be like, oh, look at that, you're going to fall in love with so-and-so.
Yeah.
Well, it's very similar. You draw a yes and a no in a square on a piece of paper, lay a pen on top of, or a pencil on top of another pen or pencil, and then you call on Charlie, and ask him to answer your questions, yes or no.
Yeah,
and the pencil will spin.
It's a Mexican process. I thought it would be more like Julio.
Well, unlike American Charlie, it has real sugar in it. But that was a Coca-Cola joke, folks, if you didn't get it. But apparently somebody made the mistake of saying, you're not real. If you're real, please show me. And they received horrible scratches and claw marks on their back. So like any good urban legend, you can usually write it off and say, not true, not true, not true. But if you want to try it, you should be warned to say at the end, when you're ready to end the game, to say, Charlie, can we stop? And if it says no, you better keep playing.
I don't know. I was reading up on this when I seen it. Somebody posted it. There's a gentleman that I work with that's on my Facebook, and he's very religious. And when he sees things like this, of course, what we do, he doesn't like, he doesn't, he's not offended by it, but he doesn't like to talk about ghosts and demons.
Please. I used to work with a woman from Haiti who, when I told her when we filmed Extreme Paranormal that I studied under a Haitian voodoo priest for a week before we did that. She wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the rest of the time we worked together.
Well, I started reading up on it, and the debunkers quickly shot it down and said it's the position of the pencils that allows for the top pencil to spin like that. Anyway, lovesick teens summon fake Mexican demon with Charlie challenge. Did you hear about this?
I did not.
The Charlie challenge, apparently, Nathan, is a Twitter Ouija for social media age. Too bad its origin story is as authentic as Señor Frog's. Huh?
Don't make fun of Señor Frog.
Anyway, apparently something scary going on in today's trending Twitter topics. No one out there, no one knows, not just the concept of, and no, it's not just the concept of sourcing stories from trending Twitter topics. We're talking about the Charlie challenge.
Now, since we were talking about frogs before, this isn't like licking the bottom of frogs, right? It's
No, you can't.
No. It's not like those Mexican frogs. No one's having sex with frogs here. It's,
not recently, anyway.
Even if they're ribbited for your pleasure.
Somebody have sex with frogs, please, so we can cover it during our news.
Nobody have sex with frogs. The comments of Sean Burris do not represent of GhostMan&Demon Hunter or their affiliates.
Anyway, the sort of DIY Ouija board craze that's sweeping Hot Topics and Junior Satanist circles across the nation. Junior Satanist! Wow. The script is simple. Cross 2 pencils over a piece of paper, decorate it with yes or no boxes. There's also a more complicated 6-pencil alternative for especially eager heathens.
Did you get this at a Christian Monthly?
I don't. Tiny Heathens was the name of the little site that had this. Anyway,
hey, I don't live on a heath, thank you.
See, heathen. There's also a more complicated
I do. Never mind.
6-pencil alternative for especially eager heathens. Make sure your eyeliner is Make sure your eyeliner is on fleek, while your BFF, best friend forever, fellow demon worshiper. Oh my God, this must be. Checks the lighting and frames the shot. Next, summon your local suburban spirits with the invocation. Charlie, are you here? If Charlie is down to party, Charlie party. I like that, Charlie party. I do like that.
Sean, I'll go on with this when you finish, but please go ahead.
All right. The pencils will point towards yes, and you can proceed to ask him any yes or no question. After thoroughly freaking yourself out and or finally figuring out which One Direction member you're going to marry, proceed to upload your voodoo vid to the Twitter, Instagram, Vine. Any of the few there mentioned you could. Anyway, any other social media site, your parents have definitely never heard of it. Now you're a minor internet celebrity riding the wave of extremely stupid Twitter trend. Take a celebrity's Snapchat. Refresh your page views. Retweet your friends' Charlie challenges. Eat a snack.
Okay, while you're doing this, I'm going to actually try and look up on YouTube and see if there's any Charlie stuff going on.
Yeah, do it. Apparently it's everywhere. Of course, that these tweet-happy tweenagers aren't just Hogwarts rejects employing the dark arts to ascertain the exact date of Justin Bieber's upcoming album release. They're also revisionist historians and cultural appropriators. Proprietors? One Charlie challenge creation myth that's been making the rounds claims that the exercise, which is also referred to as the pencil game, is a traditional Mexican ritual wherein players, usually children, are said to contact the spirit of a child named Charlie. But a little fact-checking reveals that Charlie is about as authentically Mexican as Señor Frog. Yeah, that's where we're at. According to Ribbit. According to Maria Elena Naves of BBC Mundo, there's no demon. See, I did Mundo.
The Mundo.
Anyway, Miss Elena, she says there's no demon called Charlie in Mexico. Naves reports that most Mexican legends derive from Aztec or Mayan mythology and have names to match. Think, oh my God, Tezcalapa. Tezcalapa. Not Timmy.
I'm looking at Charlie games here, Sean, with over 1 million views.
Yeah. See, even if the legend was conceived post-Spanish conquest, the demon would be called Carlitos, not Charlie. Didn't I mention that? Charlie, it should be proving Naves' point that Mexican demons are usually American inventions. Yeah, somebody put 2 Corona bottles together and tried it. Yeah, that's great.
Dos Equis.
Anyway, guys, that's apparently...
Dos Equis.
I don't always play the Charlie Charlie game, but when I do, I play with number 2 pencils. I don't know.
Well, Sean, I wanted to throw out there, I grew up, like we've mentioned, in the 70s. And in the 70s, there was a similar Charlie Charlie game.
Yeah.
And it was called the Pendulum.
Okay.
Pendulum goes back centuries in mythological and mystic teachings. But basically, you would take a coin with a chain on it.
Okay.
And a crystal at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
And you would hold it to your forehead over either, depending on what you had, you might have a really nice crystal base for it with a yes and a no on it, or you might have a piece of paper, whatever you use.
Yeah, the pendulum, yeah.
And you would ask it questions, and if it swung to the right, it was a yes answer, and if it swung to the left, it was a no answer. And I started getting into the pendulum in my teens, and I got really good at it. And I got so good at it that I could trick people with it by breathing on it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I learned how to breathe on it. Now, I'm not saying, folks, you should go out and trick people with a pendulum, but, these things can happen. And I've actually seen magicians since then do pencil tricks where they sit there and try and move the pencil, and they'll move the pencil in different directions by controlling their breath through their nose with their mouth shut, and they're breathing through their nose. And it's a neat trick, but it makes me wonder about the Charlie Charlie game a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
And, of course, Sean and I often argue about the Ouija board, so
yeah.
if you can call up a demon, don't.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We don't know if you're going to be able to or not. But I have Ouija boards framed in the house. I'm staring at one right now down in the studio.
I have a really nice original Parker Brothers Ouija board that's in the trunk of my car because my wife will not let me bring it in the house.
Was that a beer you just opened? Sound like an alcoholic beverage, man.
What are you talking about? I would never do such a thing on the air. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Charlie, so we don't know if
I forgot to mute the mic. What can I say?
Well, it happens. Anyway, Charlie, moving on, Demon Hunter. Didn't you have some, since we love these haunted places, not just for Halloween?
We do love haunted places, Sean. Yeah. And we have often gone over the most haunted places in America to give people a little idea of where they can go. But you know what we haven't done, Sean?
What's that?
We haven't covered the most haunted places in the world.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we have listeners all over the world, and we haven't told them where to go.
Why not? Why haven't we done this?
Well, let's go back and look at some of the 9 most haunted places in the world.
Let's do that. I'm ready for it.
Are you ready for it? Are you really ready for it, Sean?
Yes.
Because this came from me. This must be true because it comes from MSN.com. Okay. So it has to be true.
It has to be fact.
It has to be fact. Yeah. So let's take a look at the 9 most haunted places in the world, starting with, oh gosh, Sean, they're foreign languages here.
Oh, great. Already with the Mashugana.
It's, so folks, we're not playing the drinking game yet. Well, let's play the drinking game later. But Povegala Islands in Italy?
Povegala, yes. Yes, I know.
Povegala.
Yeah.
It sounds right to me. Why not?
Don't know.
In a Venice lagoon between Venice and Lindo, this small island was a place where mainlanders fled to seek refuge from invaders.
Don't try
in the 14th
to church
century.
I love when you church words up.
Venetians infected by bubonic plague were sent there to die.
Oh, no.
And they were burned on great pyres.
Okay.
This site was used as a mental asylum during the 1800s, and ghosts have been sighted all over the island.
Okay.
So, number 9 right there.
Yeah. Lots of ghosts.
Number 8 would be...
What is it? Say it again.
Dragsholm, Slot, Denmark.
Oh.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
the Dragonsol, or Dragonsol Salt, or Dragonsol Castle, was originally built in 1215, and towers over the Oshland in Zealand in the 16th and 17th century. Countries, parts of it were used to house prisoners of noble or high-ranking families, and so I guess prisoners were kept there. In 1694, it was rebuilt in the Baroque style.
Okay.
The castle is thought to have at least 3 ghosts: a gray lady, a white lady, and the ghost of one prisoner.
Oh.
James Happenburg, a 4th century earl.
Happenburg.
So there's number 8, Sean.
Okay.
Number 7.
Yes.
Beth Spring Hotel in Alberta, Canada. That's right.
Why did you church that up? Beth Spring Hotel.
I don't know. I thought it was going to be a Germany one. So
you hissed the tongue. You went Beth Spring Hotel.
Beth Spring Hotel.
Yeah. You made it dramatic though.
It's from Canada, eh?
Hey.
Styled after a Scottish castle, the Beth Spring Hotel was in Alberta, Canada, is one of Canada's great railway hotels.
All right.
And reportedly one of the most haunted buildings in the country.
Nice.
The ghosts of the castle, there's a bride who broke her neck after picking one of her dresses, or I'm sorry, she broke her neck falling down the staircase.
Okay.
After panicking when her dress caught on fire. She has been seen in the ballroom when flames coming down from her dress. The family, there was a family murdered there in room 1873, or I'm sorry, 873. And
1873,
the door to the room since has been broken, bricked up.
Okay. Yeah.
Very 13. What was it?
13th floor. Yeah.
Well, what was the that Stephen King book?
They made it with John Cusack, right? They made it into a movie.
Yeah. 1304.
Yeah. 1306, 1304. 13
I think it was 1306. Wait. 1 and 3 makes 4.
Yeah. Do the math.
And 1308. 1308.
And Satan?
It was 13. Wait, no, it must have been 1308.
Okay, we get it.
If you added all the numbers up, it became 13. So I don't know. But number 6, the Hellfire Club in Ireland. You've heard of the Hellfire Club, I'm sure, Sean.
Yeah, in passing.
The Hellfire Club was built as a hunting lodge in 1725. It's reportedly the gathering place in Dublin for Celtics who had debauched devil worship.
How did
going on? The ruins of atop a summit of Montepillar. You're making me read this just so you can laugh at me.
Lots of sex to the Dark Lord. Yeah.
But tales of animal sacrifice took place there. Black masses, coven hooded men, and murder are linked to the structure. So, a few hauntings said to go on there. At number 6, the Hellfire Club in Ireland.
Okay.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of stories about the Hellfire Club. I don't know if I buy all those. The Ancient Ram Inn.
I've heard of this one.
In Glastonshire, England.
You churched it up.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried.
It was good.
A grade 2 listed building. I don't know what that means, but it's a grade 2 listed building, and a former pub built in 1145.
It's like 5-star hotel.
Yeah, it's kind of like I always say, Sean. You know the difference between Europeans and Americans?
I don't know.
Europeans think $100 is a lot of money, and Americans think 100 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So built in 1145.
Yeah.
Located on
I didn't get
Wooton
that,
under
by the way.
Edge.
I must have missed that.
What did you miss?
$100, 100 years. I didn't get the connection there.
Well, it's the difference between Americans and Europeans. Europeans think $100 is a lot of money. Americans think 100 years is a long time.
Okay, there we go.
You see the difference there, Sean.
Yeah.
Americans seem to forget that something happened over 200 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Say this building was built in 1145.
Oh, I see.
See what I'm saying there? Filton under Edge is a market town in Glastonshire.
Yeah.
It is situated on 2 ley lines, supposedly.
Oh.
I'm adding the supposedly. That's not in the story, but supposedly.
You added
It's built on 2 ley lines.
You can't.
And is the scene of child sacrifice and devil worship.
You can't add to the story.
Built on an ancient pagan burial ground.
Okay.
The ancient Ram Inn is believed to be haunted by upwards of 20 specters.
That's a lot of specters, pal.
That's a lot of specters.
That's a lot of specters.
Including a male sex demon. That would be an incubus, right?
Hey, yeah.
Or a Sean Burris.
That's true.
That delight in punishing guests, or pushing guests, down onto their beds.
Yes.
It is a Sean Burris demon.
This is true.
A high priestess has been spotted sitting on the bed, and a guest often hear screams of a young girl.
Oh my God.
That was number 5, the ancient rat.
Screams of pleasure. Was it?
Screams. If I'd known you were going to make me read this, I would have read it before the show.
You would have screamed. Hey, going back to that last story, not to interrupt, I know you're on a streak here, but
no, go ahead.
You were talking about, the gray and the white, lady in gray and lady in white. How comes and all these things, lady slipped down the stairs and died and comes back and all these terrible, terrible things. How comes you never hear of ghost stories where a man died of having passionate, hot sex while being tied to the bed and he moans every night, with pleasure? You never hear of this stuff.
You never do, and I have to admit, that would be a good point there, Sean. I mean, why don't you ever hear stories about the guy? Why are the ladies always in white or gray?
Yeah. Maybe the color gets sucked out with the paranormal. You know what I mean? The energy levels, and it turns them white or gray.
Why do you never have ghosts walking down the steps and
they float down the steps? Yeah. Everybody knows that's day one stuff, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's always white or gray, always.
I don't know, and there's
white
no
or
sex.
Gray. It just doesn't seem fair, Sean.
Never sex
just doesn't
involved.
seem fair. You should have a choice.
Yeah. Well, I guess telling stories around the campfire to the kiddos is not the same. You say, Mr. Duncan was getting spanked by his mistress and died of a heart attack.
I have never seen that dress you wear, or the highlights in your hair.
Your eyes.
I have been blind.
I'm blind.
The lady in red.
Oh, yes.
Why is there never a lady in red ghost, Sean?
You're not ghostly. She was never a ghost, the lady in red. That was a good touch. I like
Hey, Sean, you really want to hear me mess one up here?
Yes, go for it.
This is in France.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. It's the Chateau de Berciel Hilaire.
You're just going to say
France.
a lot of...
It sounds like a cheese, if you ask me.
Yes.
But, no offense to the French. Please keep listening to our show. I just can't speak French. The tallest castle in French, Chateau de Berciel.
Yes. Dumb American.
Brester.
Wait, that was...
Is built in the heart of the Loire. Well, it's like who was
who'd have won the
Joan of Arc? She
Yeah.
was the Lady of Lorraine, right? So it's Valet.
Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc, the messenger. That's all Americans know about Joan of Arc, but they all watched The Messenger.
It was a six movie on the Richter scale, number 6.
It was a fortress for the courts of Elgin in the 11th century. That's 1200 BC or AC after C.
Yeah.
Then there we go. 1100, which would be the 11th century, which was 1200 AC.
No.
It has 204 rooms.
That's a lot of rooms.
That's a lot of rooms. Portrait galleries, a chapel, private opera house with 200 seats. King Louis the 13th dropped by in 1620. So there's a lot of history to this castle.
A lot of stuff going on there, yeah.
Yeah. But the most active ghost apparently is La Dame Veillette, which is the Green Lady.
Okay. Say that 4 times in the mirror.
La Dame Veillette. La Dame Veillette. La Dame Veillette.
Show yourself.
La Dame Veillette.
La Dame Veillette.
The Green Lady, who was a victim of a double murder.
Green Lady.
The Green Lady. Okay. See that, Sean?
There's one.
There's one for you.
Green
She's
lady.
not a lady in red, but she's
green.
She's green.
Well, that's interesting.
She's often seen in the Tower Chapel wearing a green dress.
Got it.
You gotta admit, Sean, come on. If you worked or lived in the, wouldn't you just keep a green dress around just to hop in it, and if you were a woman and scare the locals every now and then?
I would do it even as a man. Yeah.
That's a man. With your beard, you'd really throw some people.
Yeah, it would be like, holy cow.
I still haven't grown my beard back after we had the poop in the beard talk.
You should grow that back.
Well, that and for my new job, I have to wear a ventilator, so
it was proven.
I have to keep my face kind of clean.
You know,
so
that story was proven to be fake. We read it on the.
We did, but I still have to wear the ventilator.
Nathan, we're running out of time. We got to do news still.
Okay. Let's hop up. We'll just run through these really fast.
Run.
The Castle of Good Hope in Cape Town, South Africa.
Okay.
Built in the 17th century by the Dutch, the East India Company. We have all know that from watching
Pirates
of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That's the number 3 most haunted place.
America.
Another one I can't pronounce. Number 2 is the Bagger Fort in Rajasthan, India.
Yes.
No clue there, but I'm probably saying that one all wrong. The ruins of a fort city built in the 17th century.
Okay. Yeah.
Haunted location.
Very haunted.
Ghosts. A wizard called Shami and a princess called Vlatvinity.
Yeah, I've heard their music. It's a good band.
Yeah.
Shami.
And the number 1.
Isn't that what Laverne and Shirley used to say? Shami. Shamazel.
Hoffenpfeffer Incorporated.
Yeah, Hoffenpfeffer.
The number 1 is Mont Cristo Homestead in South Wales, Australia.
Oh, Aussie.
A late Victorian style museum with interesting interlaced ironwork, built by wealthy landowner Christopher William Crowley.
Ooh,
we all love that name, Crowley. In 1876, reportedly the most haunted home. Excuse me, I burped. Yeah. In Australia. Take your pick of the young ghost children that pop up. There's said to be a ghost maid who appears on the balcony, a stable boy who was burned to death.
Oh.
The most active, however, is a ghost of the son of the caretaker who was found curled up next to the dead body of his mother and who was chained up for 40 years.
That's very sad. Just add one to it. Wait, since this is the last one, add one. And then the keeper of the house, the man, come on.
The keeper of the house, the man,
was found naked.
Was found hanged.
Yeah.
Just for you, Sean, he was hanged.
He was hanged, and his mistress was reported as still spanking him in the afterlife. Way to go, Australia. Anyway, was it?
Was a lot of that was a lot of story there, Sean. I have a lot of respect for you for reading these stories every week.
Yes, you're very. That's a lot. They tired me out. Take a drink, because it's time for G&D show in the news, guys. It's always fresh. It's always exciting. It's strange and weird. And it's straight from the G&D show vaults, and it starts right
now. I jumped the gun there.
That was all right. You're premature.
Right. It was okay.
Yeah.
Folks, that's right. It's time for the GhostMan&Demon Hunter in the news. That's weird news that Sean and I pick right out of the papers because we like the titles. Funny thing is, we haven't read the stories yet, which means we make a lot of mistakes. And every time we make a mistake, you take a drink. That's the G&D drinking game. That means if you're driving your car right now while listening to the show, don't play the G&D drinking game. Listen for the bell. Listen for mistakes. Every time you hear one, take a drink, as long as you're not driving or doing anything important this evening. Because if you are doing anything important this evening, we do recommend that you please listen responsibly.
Absolutely, little brother. And straight from the G&D show vaults, as we said, our good friends at the Huffington Post Weird news. Thank you for this one. Man wears suit made of 1.1 million bees in attempt to set world record.
Really?
Really? I'm not kidding you. This comes today, too. This is straight off the presses, man. May 31st, 2015. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I can't wait. Anyway, beekeeper... Oh, here's my term. Gayo Bengua, 2 drinks, guys, 55 years of age, of East China's Shandong province, succeeded on Monday in his effort to set a world record for wearing the heaviest coat of bees. Way to go, guys. His accomplishment was confirmed by officials from carrying the flag world record. The flag world records. According to the Associated Press, assistants placed several queen bees on Bengua's body in order to attract worker bees before starting to just dump boxes of bees at his feet. There are about 10,000 bees in a kilogram, meaning Bengua, I broke the bell, I think, had nearly 1.1 million bees on his body. The beekeeper ended up covered in an estimated 1.1 million bees.
That's a lot of bees.
Assistant dumped bees on beekeeper Ga Magua as he aims to... drink up twice, guys. I can't get that name. As he aims to set new world record in China, May 25th, 2015. He wore only his underwear.
Ow.
Yeah, during the stunt, and smoked a cigarette to keep the bees away from his lips. I would be concerned about my lips and other things.
My nose, my lower region.
When I was wearing...
Underwear wouldn't be enough. I'd need like thunderwear with a pistol stuck down there.
Yeah, there'd be an iron cup for sure. Anyway, guys, it says he was stung more than 2,000 times, and temperature around his body reportedly reached 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's hot.
Way to go, Bong Jiang, or whatever his name was. Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, Sean, I've got one for you here.
I want to hear it.
You and I have discussed this.
Yeah.
Another New Jersey girl sues her parents for tuition and wins.
Okay.
A parent, the parents, have a drink. I started off wrong with the first word. The parents of a 21-year-old New Jersey woman have been ordered to pay $16,000 a year in college fees for her.
Oh my God.
Even though they haven't had a relationship with her for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
But don't expect them to pay up anytime soon. They can't hold me to it, the father said. They can hold me in contempt of court.
Uh-huh.
They can do whatever they want. I'm not going to pay. Cynthia Ricci's father, Michael Ricci, told WPVI-TV, I'm not going to give them any money until my daughter has a relationship with me and we start to heal our family.
Stand your ground, Pops.
That's right. The standoff, which you recall, similar in New Jersey's case earlier this year, in which an 18-year-old, Rachel Canning, sued her parents, came to a head in November when a judge ruled that the...
Pause.
ruled for Cynthia.
Yeah.
And told her parents to help fund her out-of-state tuition at Temple University.
Temple!
Now, you and I have talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
We grew up in an age where if your parents didn't pay for your tuition, you just either picked another school or you paid for it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
I mean, I am not surprised that the unofficial, maybe it's the official now name, for this generation that's going into college now is called the generation of me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You and I grew up in the generation X. You grew up in the generation Y.
Right.
And then after that, they called it the generation me.
Yeah, me.
What's up with this, folks? I mean, I understand parents wanting the best for their kids, paying for their tuitions, stuff like that. But when my father passed away, and my family had already agreed to pay my tuition, when my father passed away, I wasn't taking money out of my mother's hands. I declined the money, and I actually, instead of going to school, I traveled the country. But I don't recommend that for everybody. But hey, it's not your parents' responsibility.
It's not.
To pay your way through school, folks. Especially if you haven't had a relationship with them in 2 years. Right. You walked away from the family. that they can walk away from you.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
my feeling on it.
your parents struggle all their life, guys, to give you food and clothes, most of us. And then when college comes, people are expected to, well, you should have prepared for that. My butt. You can't always prepare for that. You're too busy spending medical bills and food and shelter. And
Braces.
oh, my God. Yeah, you don't want to get me started on that. Demon Hunter, we're at 7:56. You want to go right into Legends?
Do you want to go right into Legends, sir? I'll just throw some one title out there.
Okay.
I only want to throw this one title out there because this story hit me really big. The only way to beat the summer heat in India is with the delicious new Hitler ice cream cone.
Oh, no. Only in India.
Even the most delicious of ice cream lovers who might turn away from this sweet treat. It might seem a little hard to swallow. The newest treat in India, the Hitler ice cream cone, comes out from barstoolsports.com there, Sean.
Wow, guys, that was G&D's show.
We'll hit that story next week.
We got a bunch more, Nathan, fixed up, guys.
Hey, happy birthday, though, Sean, to Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
85 today.
The original cowboy. Well, him and John Wayne.
The spaghetti western king, Clint Eastwood, have a drink, folks, turns 85 today. Hey, time for the next story there, Sean.
We'll do the bell. Okay, guys, you hear the music. It's time for a G&D Show original series, which means Nathan and myself came up with it. For years, we've hunted down monsters and legends all over the great United States and the world. And each week on Legend X series, we bring you the latest and greatest in monster legends to find out if there's any facts or if it's just totally fiction. Tonight's Legend X is the Donkey Lady of San Antonio, Texas. Yes.
I think I saw her show once down in Mexico.
No, not that one. It was in Puerto Rico, I think. That was, I don't know. Anyway, the legend of the Donkey Lady of San Antonio, nestled in the foothills of the ancient Texas Hill Country. San Antonio sits and looks every bit the part of a modern American city. Glass skyscrapers and the towers of Americas kiss the azure Texas sky, while below the hustle and bustle of the city life continues unabated. In San Antonio, however, the old is never too far from the new, and history is everywhere. Night is the time when the weight of it seems the most oppressive. You can just feel that important things happened here, and on nights when the moon is small or absent altogether, you can almost imagine seeing the ghost yourself. It is the eerie aspect of the River City that has given birth to the myriad of legends. La Lenora, Brujas, Thunderbirds, werewolves, and ghostly specters all inhabit prominent places in the folklore of San Antonio. It is a lesser-known tale that I wish to examine today. It is a tale that is part ghost story and part cryptozoology puzzle. It is the legend of the Donkey Lady Bridge. Another bridge. Another bridge thing. Anyway, don't let the somewhat silly-sounding name fool you, Demon Hunter. The Donkey Lady has been a source of terror for residents of South and San Antonio for generations. As with most legends, there are various versions of the story, all attempting to explain the origin of the Donkey Lady. Though they all vary slightly, the tales have enough in common to make it seem plausible that there's a seed of truth in them. I will recount the version of the legend I heard years ago as a young boy. Here we go. Years ago, most agree, sometime in the mid-1800s, a settler woman lived near the banks of Elm Creek with her husband and 2 children. The company was barely scratching out a living from... the couple was barely... The couple was barely scratching out a living from farming the stingy South Texas soil and raising a few head of livestock. One day, the son of a wealthy San Antonio merchant came riding onto or near their property. Somehow, the young man came into contact with a horse or a mule belonging to the pioneer family. The young man, the story goes, teased the animal and hit it with a stick. You don't hit donkeys with a stick. Everybody knows that. Anyway, the poor animal...
Donkeys kick.
The poor animal retaliated in the only way it knew how, and it bit the merchant's son. It didn't kick, it bit him. Enraged, the young woman began to beat the animal even more severely than before. The poor creature's cries reached the ears of the pioneer couple, and then they quickly rushed to the scene. It became obvious to the couple that their animal, no doubt vital to their livelihood, was about to be beaten to death. The couple began throwing rocks at their animal's assailant and pelted him several times. They did not realize this young man was the son of an important man in town. The young man hurled a string of expletives?
Expletives.
Yeah, that's what I said, expletives. At the couple as he retreated, but swore he would get even with them. Yeah. That night, a party of men led by the wealthier merchant and his son stealthily approached the young family's cabin and set fire to it with torches. The heavily armed men refused to allow anyone inside the cabin to leave. Desperate, the man of the house attempted to make a break for it in the hopes that his wife and children could escape while he distracted their attackers. Alas, he was gunned down almost immediately upon setting foot outside the cabin. The screams of the woman and her children as they burned alive were heard up and down the creek for over a mile. Ooh, that's pretty gruesome. Just as the mob was sure that their unholy task was complete, a figure, engulfed in flames, smashed through what was left of one of the cabin windows and staggered toward the stunned and now terrified men. The woman's hands seemed to have been burned down to mere nubs, and her face appeared to have melted or sagged to a point that it was unnaturally long and deformed. The poor creature's clothes were gone, burned away, revealing skin charred completely black, yet somehow still on fire. The wretched creature that had once been a happy, sod-busting wife and mother let out a bone-chilling wail and then staggered past the men and hurled herself off the bank and into the waters of Elm Creek. The criminal mob followed to the point from which she had launched herself into the black water, but saw no trace of her. Her body, it is said, was never found. Since the terrible night, Demon Hunter, the travelers who tarry too long or near the bridge have occasionally reported terrifying run-ins with the Donkey Lady. Horrible screeching and screaming is reported from time to time, emanating from under the bridge or the surrounding woods. Some have claimed a malevolent creature of some kind has dropped onto the hood of a roof of their vehicle, screamed loudly, and scratched and clawed at the windows in an attempt to get at them. Photos exist of damage allegedly done to vehicles by Donkey Lady. It is said that if you park on the bridge, shut off your headlights, and wait, you will almost certainly encounter something truly terrifying. That's it, guys.
I'm scared.
Yeah, this week's Legend X. The Donkey Lady lives, guys. Yeah. Hey, the people of San Antonio believe it.
And you know, if it's a ghost of Texas, it's bigger than other ghosts.
Demon Hunter, we gotta go to break. We're 3 minutes past the hour. Okay, guys, tonight's guest from the new television show Monsters Underground, Mr. Bill Brock, hailing from Durham, Maine, guys. He's gonna stop by tonight. He's gonna tell us everything about Monsters Underground, the myths, the legends, and what he's found. Should be a good one, Demon Hunter.
I'm looking forward to it.
He is from Team Rogue. He also got out there and did some Bigfoot stuff and all kinds of stuff.
I like Bigfoot.
Bigfoot is good, but he didn't just do that. Anyway, guys, each week we play a new independent band, one we know, we love, we support independent music. Tonight's band, Kulla. Name of the song, Gone Away. Shadow Nation, Demon Hunter.
Sir.
We'll be right back.
I went down to Chicago. I didn't know where else to go. I was paid to shoot a man. I just shot him and then I ran. I didn't even get the money I owed. I turned around and took to the road. I've been wandering to and fro and made my way to Chicago. I see the fire of the barrel and bullet fly like an arrow. I see the trouble in the poor man's eyes. I see his soul take to the skies.
Gone away.
I got a hole in my heart now. My stomach's turning and I'm broken. I keep crying but there ain't no end. I can try but I fail again.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show.
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only mystifying Oracle Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Tonight's guest is hailing from Durham, Maine. He's been fascinated with monsters his whole life. He's been on the trail of Bigfoot, the Lizard Man, and many more that dwell below. He's the lead man, founder of Team Rogue, and his team of researchers travel the country in search of some of the nation's lesser-known subterranean monsters. Please help us welcome Mr. Bill Brock to studio. Bill, what's going on, brother?
Woo! I feel honored or something, man. Greeting, dude.
You should
And
be
thanks for
honored.
having-
Huh? You got a lot of stuff going on, Bill. Huh?
Man, I really do. It's been crazy, man. Like, I've got Monsters Underground on Destination America, and I've got the Team Rogue thing going. And with Team Rogue recently, we've been doing a lot of filming and filming a documentary where we've been hunting down the Mothman. And that's kind of taken up a lot of my time. And, we've been doing a lot of stuff, man, raising money for veterans, doing a couple films for Film Fest. I don't know, just doing all kinds of really cool stuff.
Yeah. How is the Mothman hunt going? Because like so many people who I know who are into paranormal research from the philosophical range consider Mothman to be a harbinger, and so he only exists in this dimension when he's needed. So how is that hunt going?
No, man.
Well, I've been really working on this Mothman thing for a really long time. I mean, I went from I should start kind of in the beginning of why I kind of got into the Mothman. My dad worked at the gas station at the end of Silver Bridge when it fell, and he was one of the people that were actually were dragging people out of the water when it happened.
Wow.
And so I had always heard stories about that growing up, and he actually played around in the TNT areas when he was a kid, so he knew some secret areas where you can get into these long tunnels that basically connect the TNT areas with tunnels that empty out over in the Ohio River area. So anyway, I heard that my whole life, man. I always heard about the Mothman. So when I was done filming Monsters Underground, I had the opportunity to go down and basically hunt for the Mothman on my own. I went down there and met up with some people at the Mothman Museum. And, if anybody goes down to Point Pleasant, please go to the Mothman Museum.
Oh, yeah.
It's an incredible place. Those people there are super knowledgeable. They're great. But anyway, I went to the museum. And, they started off telling me that they thought the Mothman was probably a demon.
Right.
And so I kind of went with that. like I really kind of thought, well, these people do this for a living, essentially. They probably know what this thing is. So we went out and we hunted the thing like a demon. I mean, we basically used some demonologists. I used some other paranormal kind of resources I had.
Yeah.
And we went out there and we tried to hunt this thing like a demon, and we didn't have any luck. So we came back home here to Maine. We regrouped, tried to figure out another way to go about it. We just recently went back down there, and we went down there thinking that we had found out something about the Mothman that nobody really spent a lot of time really looking into, and that was the correlation between the Mothman and giant thunderbirds and what the natives have seen pretty much since the beginning of time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got down there to Point Pleasant, and we had spent days and really a lot of research and time really tying these things together. But we get down there to Point Pleasant, do a night hunt, and I'll be darned if we didn't film a UFO, like legit, like no BS, man. We filmed a UFO while in the TNT areas, exactly where John Keel says that he saw one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a demon, man. I think that the Mothman is probably more extraterrestrial at this point than I think that it is a demon.
That's what I was thinking, man, because first off, man, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when I went down there, I stayed in that, the big hotel they got, the real old one that's supposed to be haunted. And,
yeah, right downtown there.
Dude, the vibe, and by the way, that's what your show captures. And any show is going to be successful when you see the excitement, dude, in your eyes because you're living it. Right. You feel it, man. It's no act. But when I went down to Point Pleasant, any town that has a monument in the middle of Main Street dedicated to a monster, man, I'm in, dude.
Hey, that's what you felt about Sleepy Hollow too, Sean.
Oh, dude, yeah. Yeah, we went on the hunt of the Headless Horseman down there. Found out that it's not just a rumor, man, that there's actual stories on the Horseman. You should check that out.
Oh, I've never even heard of that. I've heard of the Headless Horseman, but I didn't know there was real stories to back it up.
Oh, yeah. True Hessian soldier stories regarding a Headless Horseman, and definitely a story to check out on your journey.
Yeah. So basically, Irving just stole the story, man, and put it in a book, so... Damn it, I should have been an author back then. No, but you guys go everywhere. Like I said, Point Pleasant, you said UFO, extraterrestrial. I believe that, too. I mean, the flying, the red glowing eyes, and the harbinger of doom.
Well, dude, John Keel spent, the big chunk of his life, researching the Mothman and trying to figure out what was going on down there. Yeah. And he continually went back to the theory of it being an extraterrestrial being somehow. And I can understand that now. We really experienced something. And I'm not even kidding, dude. A lot of things that you do on television and stuff are always going to be I don't know. But, dude, this is real. No crap, man. We went down there and really experienced something. This thing was, in the air where we could see it for over 3 hours. Wow. So that pretty much, negated any kind of, aircraft or any kind of, drone or anything. And, dude, I'll send you the footage, man. I'll let you check it out. And it's amazing. It moved around and did things that, I've never seen before. It was really, really amazing. And one thing that really was intriguing about it is it actually started over some power lines, and that's where we noticed it first. And it actually continued down this power line right to one of the major power stations, and it kind of hovered over this power station for probably a good 45 minutes. And then it would just kind of dart off one way or the other, and it eventually just kind of flew out of sight. But I thought it was interesting that it kind of hung out over these power lines and these power stations.
And anybody that's been to Point Pleasant knows those skies are dark at night. So you could definitely... Yeah, it's dark, so you could definitely see something out there. But let's talk more. Let's talk about monsters underground, man. I mean... How'd you come up with it? Team Rogue, all that stuff. Let's go back to the beginning, growing up, man. The monster craze. You love it since you were a kid?
Oh, absolutely, guy. Absolutely, man. I've been kind of following monsters, like I said, since I was a little kid, because I've always heard my dad talking about Mothman, and that kind of got me started in cryptozoology, just my dad talking about that stuff. And, of course, Sasquatch, and I've been chasing Sasquatch all over the darn place for years now. I actually had a Sasquatch sighting probably about 20-ish years ago.
Yeah.
I was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and I was fishing a creek there, the Rubidoux Creek, and something stood up in the middle of the creek and took off running, and basically ran after the thing. Never got really good eyes on it, but it did run upright, and it was fur covered. I mean, I know that for a fact. And so it kind of like made me a little obsessed about what the hell it was, you know? And so yeah, I guess I've been in this for about 20 years. And I guess probably about 10 years ago, I started getting really into YouTube. You know, like I started making tons of these YouTube videos. And whenever I go look for Sasquatch or any of these friggin' monsters, man, I get kind of extreme. And I typically just push the limits in everything I do. So what I was doing is I was taking like whole animals out in the woods, man, just whole dead animals that had died, and they would freeze up here in Maine, man. Everything freezes.
Yeah.
So when it would freeze, we'd haul it out to the woods and set it up like it was a live animal. We'd put like trail cams on them and stuff. And we got a lot of action that way. A lot of things came in. We got a lot of interesting audio and whatnot. But some television production companies got a wind of that I was dragging whole friggin' animals out in the woods, putting trail cams. And, so they scooped me up pretty quick. They figured I'm probably all right.
We got to have this dude.
Exactly, man. You know how that works.
Oh, man.
And so, so they scooped me up pretty fast. And so that's where Monsters Underground started. You know, I scooped up a bunch of my friends that we had kind of like messed around doing this stuff together, and we made a TV show. And then once the TV show was finished filming, we haven't decided whether we're going to get another season yet or not. Still trying to figure that out. And so, but once it was done, I wanted to keep doing stuff, and I wanted to do things documentary style. I wanted to try to do things real, you know, basically create a real documentary style film that can show what really is going on out there. And so that's what we're doing, man. We're cruising around the country and doing real documentary films and talking to real eyewitnesses and trying to figure out what these monsters really are.
Another monster you might want to get a trip out to try and find there. Growing up, I had a run-in with Old Red Eye, which is the New Jersey Bigfoot. Everybody always thinks of New Jersey with the New Jersey Devil, but trust me, Old Red Eye is New Jersey Bigfoot. In northwestern New Jersey, he's a big deal.
No kidding. So what happened? I got to know now.
Oh, well, I was about 13 years old, so we're talking maybe a little over 30 years ago, and a friend of mine and I were out in the woods, and we were just joking around, hanging out. Back then, there weren't the bears in the area that there are now. So, you know, you never saw big animals or anything like that. We were just hanging out there, goofing around, and all of a sudden, a large black animal stood up, and blackish brown, and started walking towards us upright, and we just ran. And all we heard was it behind us after that point, because we were running at the very fastest speed we could take.
That's crazy.
It was behind where the Newton Hospital is now in Newton, New Jersey. But like I said, back then we didn't have bear problems in Jersey. You never saw bears. You never heard of bears. And 20 years later, 30 years later now, the big thing is if I tell this story, everybody says, "Oh, it was a bear," but we didn't have bears in the area then.
Right. Bears they can walk on their back legs, but they're not very fast on their back legs.
Yeah.
They're rather awkward, and so they can run on their back legs, but if you see something really moving fast, it was probably not a bear.
Yeah.
I just remember we ran, and we were afraid to go in the house because, my foster dad back then was kind of strict about when we were allowed in and out of the house, but we were afraid to stay outside, so we hid behind the shed. It was
great.
Bill, that's one of the things you go ahead, Bill.
Man. You didn't want to scare your Sasquatch or your foster dad, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we we didn't know who to be afraid of at that point.
Running from Sasquatch. Bill, one of the things you said about your team, man, after the show, you guys haven't stopped. That's like Nathan and myself, man. And people don't understand when you love this stuff, you have to love it because we always say about ghosts and monsters and everything, it can be as boring as watching paint dry or the most exciting thing in your life.
Right.
It's usually on any given night, it could be one of the two. More often than not, it's watching the paint dry. But,
Right.
The thing about it is,
I'm passionate about this stuff, man. It's what I do. I live it. Like, I don't even have a friggin' job, guys. This is all I do. And I do it because I'm passionate about it and I love it. And so there's no way I'm going to stop, and I'm just going to take the momentum that this TV show gave me and I'm going to keep running with the ball and do the best I can, and I don't even know what that is. I had somebody not long ago that asked me what my goal was. Hell, I don't even know. I didn't even know how to answer that question. And
well, you're talking about what your goal is,
feeling.
and like, what's the one monster you want to hunt down? You haven't gotten to hunt down yet.
Well,
All
any
of
of them.
Yeah.
I want to, and this is really the honest truth. I would love to be able to discover a cryptid. I don't care if it's, a giant fish or like whatever in the hell it is. Like, I would like to have my name right beside of like this giant cryptid saying that Bill Brock discovered this.
Yeah.
Sasquatch, Yeti, I don't care. Like, that's my goal, and I think in cryptozoology, different. In ghost hunting, you can't like a ghost and drag it to the campfire by the neck.
Right.
And I can go snatch up a Sasquatch and drag him back to the campfire.
Yeah.
So, like, I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt some creature out there that is thought to be real is real because you can actually physically get it and bring it back. And that's my plan,
Now, you've hunted down some of the more famous monsters and some of the less famous monsters. Now, you've done some stuff that we've done, like the Lugaroo, things like that. Tell us about your experiences out there looking for the werewolf man, Cajun style.
We've actually looked for the Rougarou here in Maine. Maine has a really rich French, Canadian history.
Okay.
And there's thought to be a lot of dogmen in the Rougarou right here in Maine. And we've looked into that. Recently here around the Rangeley area, I've been getting a few dogman sightings. And so I interviewed someone a couple weeks ago where they thought that they saw a dogman. And again, it's always the same kind of sighting, just a basic bipedal dog-like creature, And I've always wondered as well if these are maybe sightings of Sasquatch.
Right.
That, a thinner Sasquatch. But it's hard to say, man. I'd love to see some really good trail cam images of a good dog man or a Rougarou. I think it would be awesome, man. I'd love to see some good footage of one.
We had that cat come on, Nathan, about, 7 years ago? He had done the song, the Legend of the Dogman. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Michigan
and
dog.
He admitted to us that, and this is how legends get started, and sometimes they're totally based on experience, and sometimes they're totally based on fiction. And in his case, he said he wrote this song out of pure fiction, and after he wrote it, everybody just started announcing that they'd seen this dog man
in his area in Michigan. Yeah,
that's great. That's awesome.
But I've seen the story on it. I mean, where the tapes or whatever that you've read this, Bill, the tapes that the family. Yeah.
There's been stories of the dogman way before this guy ever wrote a song.
Oh yeah.
Like there's stories of the dog in Native American culture for hundreds and hundreds of years. So he didn't start this. The dogman.
The Legend. That was the name of the song. The Legend, Sean. Yeah. Steve Cook.
Yeah.
Dean Cook. I've heard of that guy.
Steve Cook.
Yeah, Steve.
Oh, okay.
Dean Cook's the comedian, I think. Let's get Dean Cook.
I've heard of the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Dogman's been around forever. We've hunted some other creatures that I thought were really interesting. The Olatiao. And this thing is like something that is, I don't know, on the TV show, they tried to make it look a lot more,
menacing.
Crazy than it really was. But the Olatiao is something that really exists, and I think that it's actually just a giant fruit bat and it's probably related to the flying fox. And these bats are massive, man, and they're real creatures. They stand about 4.5, 5 feet tall, have a massive wingspan, like, almost 12 feet. And there's photos of them, and a lot of the photos on the internet, when you look them up, are doctored photos, but there are some decent photos out there of some gigantic bats, and I'd like to be able to capture a gigantic bat to prove those were real.
Yeah. I went out to a cave last week, and this is off topic, but they wouldn't let us in. They said that there's a syndrome called white noise syndrome. You can't be in the cave. Did you ever run into that with the caves exploring and all that?
I've ran into other stuff, like issues with bacteria.
With white nose syndrome with the bacteria, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe that's carried by bats, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And they're more afraid of the bats catching something from you than you catching something from the bats.
Isn't that crazy? I think you're right, though. I think that is true.
One of my favorite places, my wife and I actually got married in Howell Caverns in upper state New York. And, that area is where white nose syndrome here in the U.S. was originally reported. But in Europe, it was found in France before that. But bats are dying off quickly from this syndrome. So they have to have specific areas people are allowed to go to, and they're not allowed to go in the areas where the bats are found. So,
I know that when we were filming, they were really particular about how we interacted with the bats. I guess Bear Grylls spooked a bunch of bats and killed an entire colony because he clapped his hands or did something in this cave, and it startled all the bats and basically killed a whole colony. And I don't know, he got a bunch of trouble for it.
You wouldn't think they'd be that fragile, thousands of years.
I think they are. If you wake them up, I think they are that fragile. I think they kind of have little bat heart attacks.
Right.
They'll just die.
Tell us.
Well, it's funny too because Sean and I have joked about it. I'm currently in my more recent position. I left the entertainment business and I'm in the exterminating business now. And one of the things I'm very careful with are bats, because bats and bees are important to our whole ecology here. And so you've got to be careful with them as you go.
Yeah. Do you get your rabies shots?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The rabies shots, you can't get them until there's no preventative.
Well, I had to get them, dude. I had to get a rabies vaccine.
Oh, well, they gave you the stage 1 vaccine in case you got bit, so they wouldn't have to give you the stage 1 after you got bit.
Okay. So I'm not super powered rabies man or anything.
Well, maybe you get struck by lightning while you're getting the shot.
Da, 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 da. Super Brock. Hey, man, I need to get me one of those, crawling around these caves and stuff. But listen, a lot of those Native American legends, we follow those leads too. The Pudwudgies, things like that. I mean, crazy stuff. Like you said, these folks come out now, and these people are saying, oh, that's crazy. How do you believe in ghosts? How do you believe in these monster legends? And, there's a lot of fiction to a lot of them. But there's a lot. I mean, back in the day from Native American times that talk about these things. I mean, what's your feelings on what's the best leads you've had on a monster, a legend?
The best lead?
Yeah, the most real, I guess, that you've been in contact with or came close.
There is a story that's going to be on Finding Bigfoot. Finding Bigfoot just came up here and we filmed a segment for them. And it was about some footage from Turner, Maine. I can't give too much about it, but I can tell you what's on my YouTube channel, and people are welcome to go check it out. If you look up the Turner Bigfoot footage on my YouTube channel, you'll see some footage a young man took. He was, I'm guessing, probably 14 years old. He had been hearing some noise out behind his house. He had tried to figure a way to record it.
Yeah.
And what he had done is took his cell phone out and kept putting his cell phone out on a box strap and had it just sitting there thinking that he was going to get audio, but he did have the camera pointed down a trail. After doing this quite a few times, he eventually caught something, man. He caught what seemed to be an amazing video of what seems to be a Sasquatch. I mean, it is honestly one of the best videos I've ever seen, including the Patterson Gimlin film. I mean, this thing is amazing.
It's on your YouTube page?
Yeah, it's on my YouTube page. People can check it. Just like Google my name and my YouTube page comes up, just Bill Brock.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is amazing, man. You can't look at this footage and be like definite for sure that this is like a guy in a suit. You're just like, well, I don't know what this is. I mean, that's kind of how I saw it at first once he showed this to me. And I sent it off everywhere. I had the local news people check it out. I had like national news people check it out. Nobody can take that footage and blow it up, do whatever to it, enhance it, whatever. They couldn't do anything to it to prove that was a guy in a suit.
Right.
So, at this point, I think that's probably the best footage out there, period, right now, because it is an amazing piece of footage, man. The thing about that footage that really I think is like the coolest part is like this thing, whatever it is, takes a step across a branch. And when it does, the foot actually flexes backwards as it's coming past the branch.
Oh.
And as the foot starts to come up and come back down, the foot rolls up, and so the foot flexes upwards. So that would be a really, really hard thing to fake if you're going to just like make a suit and try to make a foot where it's just like independently flexible. Like it would be difficult to fake.
Now, Bill, how do you feel about the theory that Bigfoot is just naturally blurry?
I think Mitch Hedberg nailed that one, man. That's why Bigfoot's extra scary, because he's extra blurry.
Now, hey, Bill, being down in the caves, man, in the Earth's bowels, when you're down there, do you guys run into like the legends of the Tommy Knockers, things like that? Have you ever ran into not just monsters, but paranormal type ghosts or spirits or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We sure have. We were filming an episode in Two Guns, Arizona. We were at a place called the Apache Death Cave. The Apache Death Cave is a really crazy spot, man. It's like this giant cave. Well, I shouldn't say giant. It's probably about 600 yards long, and it has two openings, one at each end of the cave, and then a few openings up on top. It's a really cool cave. But anyway, this Apache Death Cave, it got its name because a bunch of Apache Indians hunted down a bunch of Navajo Indians, and they basically chased them into this cave and killed all of the Navajo. The Apache did. They basically waited out for like 24 days, I think it was, for these people to come out of this cave, and they never did come out of the cave. And so what they did is they killed all the horses of the Navajo, chopped them up, quartered them, put them in all of the escape routes of this cave, and then the top chutes, the ones that like little small access points at the top, they would take burnt brush and throw it down in there, and eventually it smoked out all of the Navajo and just either killed them by smoke inhalation or they literally burned to death. So there were a bunch of Navajo obviously died in this cave, and we were in there looking for another creature. I can't even think which one now. It's kind of sad. But we were in there looking for a creature, and we had a paranormal thing happen, man. Like all of our production crew just ran right by us. We were doing, I think both of you guys have been on TV before. Am I right? I think so.
We've done a little.
All right. So like you guys know what OTFs are and all that, like on the fly interview.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we were all doing on-the-fly interviews, man, and we were, like, all in one section. And then all of our production team literally ran right by us. And all that was left was our producer, a camera guy, and a sound guy, and everybody else hauled ass out of this cave. And we're all looking at each other like, what the hell's going on? And so, we radioed to them. We're like, what's up? What are you guys doing? And they're like, we saw a ghost, man. We freaking saw a ghost. And so we're all like, whatever, come on back in. And they're like, no, we're not going in. And so we literally had to shut down production for a minute. We went outside and then had to like calm everybody down. And then we went back in, and what we did a few minutes later, my buddy, Craig McGee, he's on the show too. He started getting sick, like physically puking in the cave, and he kept saying that something was telling him that we weren't allowed there, and they didn't want us there, doing what we were doing in the cave. And those kind of weird things continued the whole night of shooting. Like the cast and crew were both like physically getting sick, and I didn't feel right, man. You know, like I'm not. Yeah, I'm open-minded to anything really, but I was feeling weird stuff there, and I had never really experienced any kind of paranormal stuff in my life, and I didn't feel like we belonged there. It was pretty intense, man. It was like the weirdest thing I've ever had happen to me, paranormal-wise, I think.
That was one of the fun things about working on television, because Sean and I have been doing this for so long that when you feel the weirdness, you have to push yourself to go further, not retract. And it was so funny because we actually had crew quitting and leaving and like not coming back the next day. And we were just like, but we have to keep going.
Bill, we were in New Mexico, the New Mexico State Prison. It's the scene of the worst prison right in American history. It's supposed to be extremely haunted. So anyway, Extreme Paranormal, we were doing, they wanted to do a segment there. So we went in, and I got to tell you, that's when some of the crew left, Nathan. You remember that?
Yeah.
The assistant and somebody else, they stood outside. Big old tough Hispanic guy. He had tattoos all over and everything. He's like, I'm out of here.
That we were all made of crap. None of this was true. All of a sudden, he wouldn't come anywhere near it anymore.
Yeah. Well, they would have, the prison had no power, so they had parts, blocked off, and they would have us, cell by cell filming and whatever you call it, corridors, sections of the prison. So to go back to the bathroom, you had to go all the way through the hallways, and they had like these little cheap, Walmart or whatever lanterns in the hall. So it made it spooky as all get out from the get-go. Anyway, I went back to the bathroom. You remember this, Nathan?
Oh, I do.
And the door, I swear to God, the door opened, and I heard a voice or footsteps or whatever. Remember, I got on the radio calling for you guys, and nobody was around. And the scary part about it is, when I finished, man, I had to walk back. Well, it was more like a fast-paced run. I had to get back to where we were filming, man. But that place was crazy. I mean, screaming, man's voice screaming. These are audible things, not just DVP. That place is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. On TV, sometimes you'll be chasing one thing, too, and you'll end up, like, having a different kind of encounter. Yeah. We had that happen. Think you're chasing one kind of creature, but, like, really you're bumping into something completely different.
One of the funny things we experienced, and this is a nice way to like give and take here with you, when we were filming, when something extraordinary would happen, we'd get quiet because we wanted to know what was happening, and our producers and our directors would get upset because we weren't making a lot of noise and getting excited.
Yeah.
We're trying to hear what's going on. Did you go through that too?
Yeah, we did the same thing, man. We'd all stop and, like, listen and be quiet, like you normally would do when you're spooked by something. But they don't want that. They want you to, like, go, oh shit, what was that? Or, like, oh, did you hear that?
Yeah, they want you to overact.
Right. But
we had a run and gun crew, and since we weren't doing a lot of editing back in the back at the office, they wanted us to explain everything we were doing as we did it. So people kept saying, "Oh, it's so scripted," and we were like, "No, we just had to say, I'm walking up to the door and I'm turning the doorknob."
Yeah.
Right. So they were trying to make it easier for them back in
editing. Yeah. Tell me real quick, what's up next for Bill Brock, Monsters Underground? Where are we going with it?
What's up next, man? Like I said, I'm going to keep doing films. We actually just started a production company, and we are going to start doing documentary films based on the paranormal and cryptids. Short term, we're trying to raise money for veterans. And if anybody's interested in this stuff, they can always just Google Team Rogue or my name, Bill Brock, and they can learn more about what we're doing to help veterans and how they can even help us with hunting cryptids and looking into the paranormal. Maybe they can be part of what we're doing. So, yeah, just look us up.
Well, Bill, we support what you're doing, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right, man. Later,
man.
Wow. What do you think, Nathan? Bill Brock.
Bill Brock, Monsters Underground. You know, it's fun
Destination
too,
America.
Sean, because you and I have been hunting monsters and ghosts and everything under the sun for so long.
Yeah, we have.
And we've also gotten to do it on TV and radio and everything else. And it's fun to talk to somebody who's gone on the same ride. Because we can share stories, and it's just fun to throw that stuff out there.
Yeah.
And folks, we got to tell you, when you're doing it on the radio, when you're doing it on TV, when you're doing it in real life, every time you do it, it's different. And that's what's the fun of sharing the stories with everybody else out there.
That's it, Nathan. Hey, special thanks to tonight's guest, Bill Brock, Team Rogue, Monsters Underground, all the best with that. What do you say we pay the bills, bro?
Let's pay some bills.
Let's do it. Anyway, guys, special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, Stitcher Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, Action Audio Apps. Hey, are you listening? They want to know, so check them out at actionaudioapps.com. Free music archives, Creative Commons, and Midnight Syndicate. Thanks for the tunes. From the haunted back roads of America, this has been another exclusive G&D Show interview. Don't go changing America. You know we won't. Demon Hunter?
Because we love you.
Night, guys.